What if I told you that England's most powerful king died not on his throne, but in agony, rotting from the inside out? So horrifically that the truth was buried for nearly 500 years. This is the story they didn't teach you in school. King Henry VIII, a name synonymous with power, ambition, and perhaps a touch of tyranny. He was the monarch who not only redefined England's religion, breaking away from the Catholic Church to establish himself as the supreme head, but also executed wives in his quest for a male heir and ruled with absolute power, leaving an indelible mark on the course of English history. His reign was a period of immense change, religious upheaval and political maneuvering, all orchestrated by a man who demanded unwavering loyalty and obedience. We delve into the life of this complex figure, exploring the man behind the crown and the consequences of his actions. We know him from portraits. Big, bold, unstoppable, a figure of immense presence, radiating authority and confidence. These images, carefully crafted and disseminated, projected an image of invincibility, a king who was both divinely ordained and physically imposing. But these carefully constructed portrayals only showed one side of the story. They were designed to inspire awe and obedience, masking the vulnerabilities and frailties that lay beneath the surface. The reality, as we will discover, was far more nuanced and complex. But beneath the velvet and jewels, the elaborate displays of wealth and power, was a body decaying, a physical reality that starkly contrasted with the idealized image he so carefully cultivated. The weight of the crown, the burdens of leadership, and the relentless pursuit of his desires took their toll, leaving him vulnerable to the ravages of time and illness. The glittering facade concealed a growing darkness, a slow and insidious decline that would ultimately shape the final years of his reign. For centuries, historians repeated a sanitized version of his death, focusing on the grand narrative of his reign while glossing over the uncomfortable details of his physical decline. But newly analyzed physician notes, court records, and forensic analysis reveal something far more shocking, a truth that challenges our understanding of the king and his final years. These documents, long hidden from public view, paint a picture of a man struggling with debilitating health issues, battling pain and infection, and grappling with the limitations of his own mortality. The image of the powerful, invincible king begins to crumble, revealing a more human and ultimately tragic figure. The year is 1536. Henry VIII, King of England, is at the height of his power, or so it seems. He's a man known for his athleticism, his love of sport, and his imposing physical presence. But the seeds of his dramatic transformation, a shift that would alter the course of English history, were about to be sown. The beginning of the end, in a way, came on January 24th, 1536, a seemingly ordinary day that would prove to be anything but. While jousting at Greenwich Palace, a favourite pastime of the king and his court, Henry suffered a devastating fall. Jousting was more than just a sport, it was a display of power, skill and courage. It was a way for Henry to showcase his strength and maintain his image as a formidable ruler. On this particular day, however, fate had other plans. The air was thick with anticipation. The crowd roared with excitement. But in a split second, everything changed. His horse, a magnificent warhorse weighing nearly 1,000 pounds, unexpectedly collapsed. The sheer weight of the animal came crashing down on top of him. The impact was brutal. The king lay motionless in the arena, the festive atmosphere instantly replaced by stunned silence and then frantic activity. He was unconscious for 2 hours, a terrifying ordeal for everyone present. Whispers of concern rippled through the court. Was the king dead? Would he ever recover? The uncertainty hung heavy in the air. No one at court in the 16th century possessed the medical understanding to fully grasp the extent of the damage. They called it a fall, a mishap, perhaps even an act of God. But they didn't call it what it likely was, a brain injury. Modern medicine, with its advanced imaging techniques and neurological expertise, offers a different perspective. He likely suffered a traumatic brain injury, a significant blow to the head that had profound consequences. This wasn't just a physical injury, it was an injury that changed his personality, his decisions, his very being, and ultimately his fate. The subtle shifts in his behavior, the increasing paranoia, the impulsive decisions, all could be traced back to that fateful day in Greenwich. The events that followed were nothing short of shocking. Within months, Anne Boleyn, his queen, the woman for whom he had defied the Pope and shattered the religious landscape of England, was executed on charges of treason and incest. A swift and brutal end for a woman who had once held so much power. Coincidence, or was this a direct consequence of the king's altered state of mind, a mind clouded by the effects of a traumatic brain injury? The jousting accident wasn't just a personal tragedy for Henry, it was a turning point in his reign, a moment that set in motion a chain of events that would forever alter the course of English history. Before the accident, Henry was athletic, witty, a scholar king fluent in multiple languages. Afterward, he became paranoid, volatile, and cruel. He lashed out at friends, executed confidants, and grew increasingly suspicious of everyone, including his own wives. In the same jousting accident, Henry reopened an old wound on his leg, and that wound never healed. For 11 years it festered. Contemporary accounts describe oozing pus, dead tissue, and a stench so foul that courtiers struggled to stay in the same room. Surgeons tried everything, lancing, cauterizing, even stuffing the wound with gold leaf. Nothing worked. As his infection worsened, so did his physical state. Once muscular, Henry ballooned to over 400 pounds. He developed type 2 diabetes, chronic ulcers, and possibly Cushing's syndrome, causing mood swings, weight gain, and hallucinations. He ordered the execution of his fifth wife, Catherine Howard, with terrifying indifference. By 1547, Henry was immobile, ulcer-ridden, and suffering from organ failure. His liver and kidneys were failing. But here's the horror. His body was so rotted that when he died and lay in state, his coffin exploded. Yes, gases from decomposition built up so much pressure that his body literally burst open, leaking fluids across the chapel floor. Documents from Dr. Thomas Vicary, the royal physician, were altered, medical records vanished. Letters between ambassadors hinted at a monstrous decline, but the English court denied everything. The official narrative, the king died peacefully in his bed. Modern researchers, digging through Royal College of Physicians archives and Lambeth Palace documents, found disturbing consistency in descriptions: open sores, mental collapse, systemic infection. Forensic pathologists now believe Henry died from multiple organ failure due to sepsis. When we think of Henry VIII, certain images immediately spring to mind. The imposing figure in elaborate Tudor garb, the lavish court, the dramatic break with the Catholic Church. We remember Henry for his 6 wives, each marriage a chapter in a tumultuous personal and political saga. For breaking from Rome, a decision that irrevocably altered the religious landscape of England and established the monarch as the head of the church. For reshaping England, transforming its institutions, its culture, and its very identity. His reign was a period of profound change, a watershed moment in English history that continues to resonate today. He is remembered as a powerful, decisive, and often ruthless king who left an indelible mark on the world. But is that the whole story? Is that all there is to remember about this complex and controversial figure? But maybe we should remember him as something more than just a king of grand gestures and sweeping reforms. Perhaps we should remember him as a cautionary tale, a man who could command armies and change the church with the stroke of a pen, who held the power of life and death over his subjects, but couldn't escape his own decaying flesh. A man who, despite his immense power and influence, was ultimately subject to the same frailties and vulnerabilities as any other human being. His story is not just one of triumph and achievement, but also one of decline, suffering, and ultimately mortality. He was a king, yes, but he was also a man, and his humanity, with all its flaws and imperfections, should not be forgotten. The crown, though a symbol of power, could not shield him from the inevitable realities of the human condition. His reign shaped history, leaving an undeniable legacy that continues to shape our world today. But his death, it was so disturbing, so gruesome, so at odds with the image of the powerful and virile king he had cultivated, that it was largely erased from the historical narrative. The details were glossed over, the unpleasant realities hidden beneath layers of royal decorum and historical revisionism. The truth, however, remains lurking in the shadows of the past, waiting to be uncovered. Until now, we're bringing to light the hidden aspects of his demise, the details that have been deliberately obscured or conveniently forgotten. We are delving into the historical records, examining the evidence and piecing together the story of Henry VIII's final days. A story that is far more complex and unsettling than the sanitized version that has been passed down through the centuries. Do you think history should have hidden the truth about Henry's death? Was it right to protect the image of the king even at the expense of historical accuracy? Or should we confront the unpleasant realities of the past, no matter how disturbing they may be? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear your perspectives on this fascinating and controversial topic. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because we have more hidden royal secrets coming up. Stories that will challenge your assumptions and shed new light on the lives of the kings and queens who shaped our world. We'll be exploring the untold stories, the forgotten scandals, and the hidden truths that lie buried beneath the surface of history. So stay tuned and get ready to uncover the secrets of the past.